So that's right, it's the HMG podcast, and we're hanging out today with Danyool, Pashley. I hope I said that right. But go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself, my friend.
My name's Daniel. I'm a 20-year-old Australian. I live in Queensland. So currently, juggling with time zones, it's 5:40 in the morning. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's cold here. I'm not sure what it's like over in America currently, but bloody hell, we're used to 20, 30 degrees or so, and it's down to 7, and it's just freezing here. Um, but no, I'm a 20-year-old gamer. I've been playing since, God, I was 12 back on the PlayStation 1. Started off with Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, worked my way up from there. Eventually got a PC, got into gaming, and now, God, I can't. It's practically my main hobby for everything. I play pretty much anything from League of Legends to Far Cry 5, Fallout 4. I just kind of cover a whole board, and really, I just enjoy it. I mean, the community's good. I have quite a few friends I play games with, and honestly, it's a great thing to just sit back, relax, and have fun, or whether you play competitively and just have a laugh at everyone. And yeah, no, I definitely find it as a way to kind of vent, and if not vent, then just kind of relax and take an escape from the real world.
Wow, that's amazing. That's exactly how I feel about it as well. It's like I can't commit to any one game. I'll never be able to speed run a game. The closest I'll ever get is Metal Gear Solid, but for the most part, like I adventure into every game that is made available to me. So it's really hard for me to just be able to commit to one game or commit to one style of game. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Using it as a sort of like relief or like just a relaxation time. It takes you to a whole other realm. That just wouldn't be possible without games. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah, no, because for me, it's like first game that I hard got into would probably be, back on the PlayStation 1, but then I found League of Legends, God, what, 5, 6 years ago, back in Season 2 or 3 started, and I've found that out through a friend, and it's been pretty much the game that, I'll go to and I'll play that with my friends, and then we'll, take a break from that every few weeks or so because we'll get tired of it, but it's a game that we'll always keep coming back to because even though it's repetitive, it just feels somewhat fresh all the time when they change things up. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I'd say out of all the games I've played, it's probably, I wouldn't say my favorite, but it's my most memorable one.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. Like, what was it that initially got you into League of Legends that like kind of pulled you in? How'd you get your first start?
When I first started, basically, me and my friends, well, a bunch of my friends were talking about it, and I'd never heard of it before, so I gave it a try one night, hopped online, downloaded it, and honestly, I've just played it to God knows where and back. I think last I checked, there was a site where you could track how many hours you've played on it. I've played several thousand of it, so not to me. Yeah, so there's that, and as well as being PUBG, Dark Souls. I think I've got 500 hours in those two games combined, and they're sort of staples for me. I enjoy the feeling of it, like PUBG with the competitiveness, and Dark Souls with the whole skill based, trying to better yourself, even though you know if you die that you obviously it's not the game's fault. It's the fact that you need to improve or adapt to the skill or try and figure out a pattern. It's all sort of a mind games kind of thing. It's how it is with most games. You need to try and figure out a way of trying to solve the puzzle, I'll say. But it's all just one big sort of puzzle, really. It's figuring out how it goes, how it wants to be played, or whether you can make it play to how you want.
Exactly, and that's I was just telling a friend about how I look at video games as an experience of like you're getting to play the role of an actor that was cast to play this role, but you can decide which lines you choose to omit or include. And I
Yeah,
feel like that
it's
brings
like
it
with Fallout. You can choose whether you want to be a sort of mercenary kind of person who just does it for caps, or whether you actually want to try and go out there and improve the whole wasteland for better just by doing things for free or not. And honestly, it's like games like that where you have the choice to either be, kind of just in it for the money, or whether you actually want to help people. I really enjoy that because it all just depends on what kind of mood you're feeling in, whether you want to go out and see whether you want to help people or whether you actually just want to create chaos and just have fun really.
How yeah. What are you playing right now?
Right now, actually, in anticipation of Fallout 76, I just recently re-downloaded Fallout 4, and God, I've been playing that for a week or so, and I've already hammered through the Far Harbor DLC and the Automatron, and yeah, I've just been going through that like crazy. But I'll take a break every now and again, playing whether it's some Rainbow Six Siege or some League of Legends, and I'll dive right back in just to sort of break the monotony.
Um, are you doing any type of mod runs right now in Fallout, or are you just kind of playing it straight through?
Currently I'm just playing it straight through. I got it previously, but I never really um, touched it really, because I got it. It wasn't my biggest kind of game. I played Skyrim here and there, but other than that, didn't really have that big of an interest in Bethesda games. Other than that, there was the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 back in, God, what was it, the early 2000s that I played, and that was the first single player RPG game that I really got into. I just love that thing to bits. And honestly, actually, I've been keeping track of the Sky Oblivion mod that they're making, just to remaster Oblivion, with the whole graphics of Skyrim. And I'm really looking forward to that because Oblivion was by far my favorite my favorite RPG game that I played. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, as well as the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm keen to see where that's going to be set and how they're going to play with that.
I'm looking forward to the Elder Scrolls 6. I really hated Skyrim. And I can't say that with a lot of fairness because I didn't play much of Skyrim. I just didn't get into it when I first started playing. But I don't know why. I feel like the Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna do something different that's gonna pull my attention and really make me want to play. One of my qualms
Yeah,
with Elder Scrolls and with Fallout, and I think with a lot of Bethesda games, is they don't give you like a strong story to dive into. Like they just leave it all up in the air. And I love the idea of giving people the creative freedom to do that. But for me personally, the way that I like to play, I like to have like a storyline that I can follow and then have some branching paths off of that will alter the storyline. But I don't want total freedom to just do whatever I want because then I feel like I'm just wasting time within the game, you know?
yeah, I know what you mean. Because I remember when the first time that I ever played Skyrim, it was kind of like, you've got this whole open world, and they give you vague things like, do a quest here, go to this place, talk to whoever, and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, all right, we're not really being pushed along a certain path line, but I'm not really feeling any motivation to do it. Rather than I would just run around and discover every place before I actually participate in any of the storylines. So it's kind of a bit of a throw up between, do I want to actually try and do the storyline, or do I want to just explore and have a good old time free ranging it?
But give it a little bit more storyline so that if I choose the storyline path, I'm still having just as good of an experience as someone who chooses the free roam path.
Yeah, because
And
it's
I
like
don't think
with
that the
Skyrim
balance
and
is there
Fallout.
in Bethesda games yet.
Yeah, because it's like you don't really get the chance of having an alternate ending or whatnot. It's always you kill the dragon, you save the country, whatnot. None of your choices really affect the end game storyline. Your companions may not like you for some decisions you make, but in the end, it all ends up the same. Whereas, storytelling games or whatnot, where you've got the opportunity to make decisions that'll actually alter the ending of the game, it always throws it up because you think, if I'm an asshole to this person, will that affect the end game? Will people not like me? Or, if I'm good to them, will they aid me in an upcoming battle or whatnot? It honestly, that kind of an aspect in a game is really exciting because you think what sort of possible ramifications every decision you make could have, whether you kill someone or steal from someone, or whether you help them or not.
Um, when you say the ramifications of like the actions, the first type of game that comes to my mind is actually Hitman, because Hitman I feel like offers that freedom within every mission to just explore the world and do things as you please, but still gives you a very clear goal as to what your end path is. Like your goal is to assassinate this person, um, and it gives you all this freedom within the world to do that. Versus like I
Yeah,
said, the wide open world, and it's like just do whatever you want, and I guess this thing over here you can just call it a final boss. Like that's how I feel when I'm playing Bethesda games.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean about the hitman. It's either, you can either go in guns blazing and just get everyone out of your way, or you can go in stealthy, or you can actually, try and make it as an elaborate of a plan as possible, whether you poison them by getting an outfit from a chef or something, or whether you try and find some way into their inner ring before you try and get a hit on them. Yeah, I know what you mean about Hitman being a sort of decisive game like that. It's really an interesting tactic with it, to be honest, because it's like, most people see it as, oh, just run and kill this person. Well, when you look at it closer, it gives you so many options of, hey, I could actually do this to affect how all of the gameplay of this will turn out.
Exactly, and then you get the different bonuses, and you really start to feel a sense of achievement in the moment, and like very very clearly. But what other games, what other types of games do you find yourself playing when you don't want to explore those large open worlds? Like what else gives you that kind of same feeling?
Um, any other? I'd say probably Rainbow Six Siege is probably the biggest one that I've been going to currently. That isn't an RPG open world game because
Oh my
it's kind
god,
of
that is incredible.
oof,
I was like during
oof.
E3 they had just given the stats of Rainbow Six Siege, because Rainbow Six Siege is one of those games where the people who play it aren't running around telling you they play it. They just play it. So like
Yeah,
it's like the Division. I feel like Ubisoft has kind of mastered that niche of like of core gamers where they're just like, yeah, no, this is what I play if you ask them, but they're not like running around telling you they play this or like trying to throw it down your face. And it's a very different dynamic.
yeah, that's one of the things I love about Rainbow Six Siege because it's like, you have every unique operator, and you can decide whether you want to play multiple people or whether you want to learn a single character to the point where you know how to play him like the back of your hand. And it's like, honestly, the feeling of being able to play them properly and actually utilizing all of their skills, it just feels really rewarding. Because when you get to it and you take down a whole team or whatnot, just with the skill of your character and a good aim, then the feeling of it's just insane. Like if you fuse someone, like just take out three in a room or whatnot, the feeling of it's just it just feels like it's not exactly skillful, but you feel like you're actually playing the character how they're meant to be played and just kind of profiting off of it.
I think it is skillful. I think it's a great thing that pro gaming is now recognized as an actual sport. So like people can get athletic scholarships to be pro gamers, because it's a different skill set, but it's still a skill set that I think is valuable.
Yeah, because I remember back when it first started to become a thing, back in the, uh, for example, like the League of Legends World Finals and whatnot, how they'd started getting university teams into it and trying to actually get them scholarships and everything. Um, but no, ever since it started to become a pro sport, it started to get more significant interest, and people just kind of brushed it off at the start, like it's just playing video games. There's not much to it. But when you look deeper, there's a whole thing of trying to understand what your enemy's gonna do, like hand-eye coordination, tactics, whether you if it's a team game, how you're gonna play it, what kind of characters you're gonna play, and it's a whole skill set that goes along with it. Because, for example, like with League of Legends, there's a whole team composition, who goes well and whatnot. And then with every patch update, there's just changes to skills, who gets buffed, who gets nerfed, and then they've just got to build around that as well. And it's just constantly changing and throwing in new items, and it's more of an adaptability and just knowing how to play the game, and just how that you'd be able to win off of anything, any changes that happen, and how to adapt to it. It's just, and the kind of skill and precision that go into those sorts of games, like with the Counter Strike, for example, the World Finals, the kind of hand-eye coordination that they have to have, and the sort of senses like hearing or just trying to predict where they're going to be is just insane. Because you see some of the shots they pull off, and it's crazy. Just imagining that what they're trying to think.
Especially in that moment under that type of pressure. Um,
Mm.
yeah, no, that's amazing. I think we got a great opportunity to get to know you a little bit. But we're gonna take 2 seconds and then we're gonna dive into some of the video game news. I mean, E3 was about a week ago at this point, so we're gonna learn a little bit about how you felt about E3.
Sure.
It's time for the news.
All right, and we're back. It's the HMG podcast. This is your host, Super VEGA. I'm kicking it with Danyool, my new mate from Australia. And we were just having a good time talking about, how similar our feelings towards video games and what they mean to us are. And now we're going to talk about our feelings some more. And I'm going to ask Daniel his feelings about E3 2018.
Oh boy. Okay. Where do I start? Fallout 76, for example. I know the whole Bethesda Fallout community are a bit up in the air about this because the whole thing of a Fallout 4 multiplayer world with other people in it and the whole possibility of having access to nukes. I know people aren't exactly, or some people aren't exactly happy about it, but it's sort of it's opening it up to a whole new world because now you can get new players coming in to play with their old Fallout friends, or whether you're getting veterans coming in to play with new people to teach them. Because I know I'm gonna play it with one of my friends that's actually quite heavily involved in Fallout and knows most of the lore about everything in it and played it since Fallout 3, Fallout 2. And so doing that kind of thing and actually playing together, I feel like would be a really new kind of feeling with it. Because back, like compared to Fallout 4, it as much as it's fun running around a wasteland blowing everything up with your companion, it just doesn't feel the same as if it would with a companion or with a friend playing with you. And just the whole thing of building a fort and trying to actually, whether you work with or work against the other people that are in your server, it just brings whole new aspects to the game that haven't been seen before in the Fallout community. Honestly, I'm really excited for it. I think it'll be definitely a good twist on the whole Fallout franchise. But I mean, how they execute it, I'm not quite sure. I mean, Todd Howard did announce that there would be, I think it was not single player service, but like friendly servers where there isn't any PvP or whether that's something else. But honestly, doing that kind of thing would be good as well because then you can cater to the people that don't want the multiplayer or the whole possibility of getting a nuke dropped on them. But yeah, other than that, no, I'm definitely looking. That's probably one of my best D3 I'm looking forward to.
I spoke to Kyle Hinckley last week, and he currently holds a Guinness World Record for an achievement in Fallout 4 that they didn't think was possible. So we were having a long conversation about Fallout 76, and he kind of sold me on the premise of this is essentially living out the backstory of Fallout, in which people are emerging from these shelters for the very first time. So the only people you're going to encounter are people who emerge. So it makes sense that there's only 12 people at a time in one server because not that many people were emerging from their shelters at the same time. So on that premise alone, I was like, wow, I would want to play Fallout 76 because I feel like that's an interesting story that I would love to see being built, especially interacting with new people every time you play. I think that would really adjust the dynamic of the game. But I can definitely see where people who loved Fallout 4 have a problem with it.
Yeah, because with Fallout 76, I'm pretty sure it's set 20 years after the Great War, which is the earliest Fallout game that they've had to release to date. So it would make sense that there wouldn't be that many people around because everyone would have been wiped out by the nukes, or all of the Vault Dwellers haven't come out yet. Or but no, it would definitely be interesting because I don't think there'd be that much destruction that it would have gone down because of for example, Fallout 4, the hundreds of years of radiation and whatnot would have affected the landscape and everything else. But looking from the trailer of Fallout 76, everything definitely seems a lot more alive than what it did in Fallout 4.
Absolutely. Way more colorful.
And with the whole thing, yeah, because I remember in the trailer there was, I think it was a university or something, there was a whole sort of actually lush-looking garden university. And I saw that and I think, wow, the ability to actually make things like a happy, sort of bright environment in Fallout, that kind of thing would be great. Because I remember Fallout 4 that I've been playing through, it's like, you can build bases and everything, but they're either wood or metal and they don't exactly look great. But looking at the crafting system in Fallout 76, it just looks like you can actually make fully solid buildings, make it all look semi-new. And honestly, that kind of thing, like, as much of a minor detail that it is, I honestly think it looks good because it'll make everything seem a lot more, I'll say, rewarding when you build it. Because it'll feel like you're sort of building a new community.
Yeah, and the community for Fallout is humongous. You guys, I mean, people who play Fallout are really, really committed to the game, and they absolutely love the entire series. So I commend that group of people who play that, and any group who plays like a dedicated game. I think that's incredible. Um, what did you think? Did you get a chance to see the Microsoft press conference?
I didn't know. I unfortunately I didn't have the chance to see the Microsoft press conference. I know there was the Halo Infinite trailer, I believe it was as well, that had been released.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about
Was
that
that?
because, but I guess you wouldn't have too much input on it. The Halo trailer was a lot like the Metroid trailer last year, in where they primarily just showed the logo and like some teaser stuff about the character, but they didn't actually go into anything. It was just kind of, it was probably like 25 seconds maximum, and it just like really quickly highlighted the body armor of Master Chief and like some of the landscapes, and it's like it doesn't really tell me anything, but I could see the fan service for
Yeah.
people who are fans of Halo.
Oh yeah, no, because I saw the trailer for the Halo Infinite, just after the Microsoft conference had been, and honestly, it looks like they're bringing about the Mark IV armor for Master Chief, and as much as the Mark V the Halo 5 armor was all right, but bringing it back to the original, like Halo 1, Halo 2, that kind of thing, I definitely think that's a big nod towards the old community after they were changing everything to look more realistic. I think changing it back sort of as a little bit of a here you go, you can have back the old Chief, and the fact that they've actually set it on a Halo ring. I'm not sure whether the Covenant's going to be involved again or whether it's the Flood again, but because I'm pretty sure after everything through the campaigns, there'd be, whether it's a new sort of enemy that'd pop up that would try and access the rings or whatnot. But yeah, definitely be interesting premise because I've played all the old Halos back from, God, I think I've played 1 to 4. I think was the newest one that I've played. And God, I love the originals. Like Halo 1 to Reach was probably my favorite. I don't know what it was about Reach, but it just felt so. I'll say emotional because it's like you're playing as your own character, seeing a whole world fall apart, and you're fighting with a team as they slowly sort of just kind of dwindle, and then they sort of just die off one by one, which was sad enough as it is. But the fact that you were making your mission to actually get Cortana to Chief in the end, and the fact that you're the one that set up the whole Halo sort of universe, giving Cortana to the Chief, it just feels somewhat satisfying to know that you were a part of that.
And that's the type of thing that like the lore of Halo is really really well recognized for. I wouldn't call it the best writing in the game, but as far as like the mainstay shooters, that is probably one of the most original ideas is Halo. And I love it for that, but I just don't like the gameplay. It's not for me, not for me at all.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Those kind of things aren't exactly for everyone. Because I remember since they changed it for everything, sort of looked a lot more, I'll say, coddish than it did in the original Halo, and a lot of the fans were turned off by that. I particularly preferred the older Halos. I wouldn't say it's sort of an elitist thing. It's more of a preference to say. But yeah, I can understand why they try to adapt it to a new sort of niche market, whether they're trying to, introduce the newer players to Halo, or whether they're trying to upgrade the whole storyline or whatnot. But yeah, no, because looking back on it, because I've read quite a few of the books and I've seen the animated movies of the Halo, and yeah, no, honestly, looking back at the whole thing, it has a deep lore. Looking at that sort of thing. So what they're gonna do with the Halo rings? Whether they're gonna, oh god, introduce back like I forget who was the main guy from Halo 4. Whether they're bringing back that race, or whether it's something to do with the
Covenant?
Oracle or whatnot. Oh no, not the forgetting who it was now. It was the main guy out of Halo 5. He was stuck in that ball. Look at me, I'm forgetting.
I didn't play Halo 5. The last Halo that I played was Halo 3. And I played through the entire storyline without having played the other two. And I was just like, all right, why not? Let's just dive into this and have some fun. My cousin loves playing this game. We can play it co-op. It'll be cool. And we got through it, and I was like, all right, I can appreciate the story in this. I can definitely give credit where credit's due and say this was an interesting story. I don't really understand what happened, but I could feel the writing was there.
Yeah,
So
because the main thing with Halo 3 was, the whole trying to stop the flood, pretty much just not let the Covenant activate the Halo rings kind of thing. Because I remember back in Halo 1, it was all sort of, you face the Covenant, that's pretty much it. Halo 2 was introducing the Flood and the Covenants as well, and the whole thing, if they activate the Halo rings, all life is going to pretty much die off. But actually, I found it here. The main enemy for the Halo 4 was the Didact, and they were the Forerunner species, were the ones that actually created the Halo rings. Um, so whether the new Halo Infinite's going to introduce more Forerunners, whether it's going to have some sort of storyline with the Chief, and whether it's UNSC, because I believe there was also the Arbiter coming back as well in Halo Infinite. Um, yeah, looking at that sort of thing, it'd be interesting to see how they're going to put a spin on it, because
So
yeah,
in
from
Halo
I
4,
think they
you're battling against the creators of the Halo ring, and they want to activate the Halo ring. Is that what's happening?
yeah, I think Halo 4 was originally you were against the Didact, who I believe he was a sort of he was sort of a deserter from the original Forerunners, because I think he just didn't like the whole sort of human life, life in general sort of thing, and he just wanted to activate the Halo ring, so they sealed him away. But in Halo 4, you actually get tricked into releasing him, and he sort of just goes off to try and activate the rings, just to pretty much put an end to everything. But you end up putting a stop to him, and I think Cortana, can't remember in the end whether Cortana died or not. It's all sort of up in the air, because they're like, oh yeah, 'cause she died, but she actually didn't. She got corrupted, but you can fix her. It's all sort of back and forth, that kind of thing.
And then you didn't play Halo 5, so now we're going on to Halo 6. What are your predictions for it?
Yes. Predictions for it. It'd be interesting, because I've seen bits and pieces saying that you won't be able to play as an elite in Halo 6, or the whole thing that they're taking back to the original Master Chief armor. I'm not sure whether it's the original Halo 1 armor, but it definitely looks close to it. So whether they bring it back to that, whether there's been some sort of mishap with Chief's original improved armor and he's had to go back to the original one, or whether Cortana's made improvements to his original armor and he's changed back to that. But honestly, I'm not sure what they're going to do with the story. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of main enemy they put it as, because they didn't really release much in the teaser apart from, the blue spires going off on the ring and the whole thing of. So whether it has something to do with people trying to activate it, or. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what sort of twist the writers put on it, I'll say.
Um, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be an interesting game to watch as the story unfolds about it, and we learn more and more about what Halo 6 is gonna represent. Especially, I know a lot of people who didn't play Halo 5 for similar reasons. They weren't really sold on it or whatever it may be.
Mm.
What was the most surprising game from E3 for you?
Ooh, most surprising game. I'd probably have to say Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not gonna lie, because even though they gave us, 15, 20-second teaser of it, just the whole thing, the small amount of visual detail that they showed us, people are starting to, predict whether it's I believe it was the High Elf land, whether it's, they're trying to get what little information they can, whether it's a mountainside, because I remember there was the mountains in there as well as the ocean. Can't remember what they were trying to predict it would be, but definitely seeing where that would be set, what sort of campaign or to have, seeing what sort of things they'll put on it. Because I remember Oblivion, it was the whole, the Daedra trying to invade Tamriel, and with Skyrim, of course, there was dragons trying to take over the world, etc. Um, no, definitely, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, because Elder Scrolls is such a big community. Everyone's, Skyrim was huge. Oblivion was just as, well, I wouldn't say just as big, but, Oblivion was relatively large. Seeing what they do with Elder Scrolls 6 will be interesting, because they'd have to live up to the hype of, Skyrim, and seeing how they'll be able to improve off of that would be interesting, seeing whether they bring in some sort of new mechanic, or whether they try and spin it up a bit so that you get companions or friends to join you, for example, but I'm not sure they'll do that. um, it'll definitely be interesting. And as well as that, not just the Elder Scrolls 6, but Starfield as well, because Starfield's supposed to be a sort of bridging universe, because apparently the Elder Scrolls universe and the Fallout universe is supposed to be connected, and Starfield's the linking one that combines the two of them.
Oh wow, now that's a surprise. See, I wasn't surprised at all by Elder Scrolls 6. I knew that was going to happen. It just made too much sense. Um, the only thing that
Yeah,
was out of character for me with the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement was the not coming like right away part of it. Like usually when we get a Bethesda announcement, it's like here it is in 4 months or something, and we didn't get that with Elder Scrolls 6.
yeah,
But I did expect them to do it. Um, but that bridging the gap, I think that's going to be really interesting to see because it's going to tell a very very big story if it does manage to bridge the gap between Elder Scrolls and Fallout and really bring these two into the same universe. Because outside of these rumors, there haven't really been anything to suggest it, have there?
no, no, because with Starfield, there've been people talking about it and bits and bobs here and there on the internet, but other than that, there haven't been any sort of solid information about it. Because trying to connect both the Elder Scrolls with the whole magic and elves and everything to Fallout, where you've got American civilization that's gone under nuclear warfare. Honestly, trying to bridge those two kind of things would be such an interesting way. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because whether the magic goes extinct or whether there's a great war or something, but finding out what they'll do with that and whether there'll be little Easter eggs hinting towards both the Elder Scrolls as well as the Fallout series, it'll be interesting. Trying to see how they're going to do it because Starfield's been rumors here and there, and the whole gaming community, well, in the Elder Scrolls as well as Fallout, have heard about it and they've been like, oh yeah, I suppose it might be a thing. And now that they've released it, people are saying, all right, well, how are they going to connect it? What's going to be included in it? Because people are saying whether it's going to be some sort of space exploration kind of thing. Because coming from the teaser that they released, it didn't give us very much. Just like with the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, it gave us like a hint of what might be to come. So whether it's some sort of space exploration or whether it's the ability to go between universes and that might be how they're connected, or whether it's separate worlds entirely, or the whole thing will be interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to finding out more news in regards to that.
So Starfield is supposed to be the space RPG story that Bethesda is going to be telling. Do you think,
Yep.
and I think this will be kind of like the cap of like my Bethesda questions. I know I've been bombarding you with them like you work for them or something.
Yeah.
But is Starfield the response to Cyberpunk? Because when I look at Elder Scrolls, I feel like Elder Scrolls is like the direct competitor of The Witcher. Do you think we'll be
Yeah.
seeing that from Starfield?
Possibly. I'm not sure because
And
looking at
Cyberpunk, because
Cyberpunk,
neither one is out. So
Oh yeah, no, because with Cyberpunk, it looks very futuristic. It looks interesting, and I'm not sure whether they're trying to do it as sort of a rival thing against the Cyberpunk, but whether they're going to make it a futuristic sort of space exploration, or whether it's set on Stargates, or whether it's in the space station or whatnot. I don't think it'll be a direct competitor with Cyberpunk. I think it'll be I want to say, as much as I'm going to hate myself for this, I want to say it'll be like a sort of No Man's Sky sort of thing where it's exploration.
no. No, I
I don't want
told
to curse, I
everyone
said
that I
that.
knew that No Man's Sky was not going to be a good game, like it was going to flop, and it did exactly that. And I just like no Man's Sky. Everything should avoid No Man's Sky as much as possible. Mass Effect
Oh,
tried
I
No
know.
Man's Sky and it didn't work.
Yeah, no, the whole thing of, oh yeah, you might be able to find people even though you can't actually, but yeah, no, I'm debating whether they're gonna put a No Man's Sky kind of thing on it, whether you can explore worlds or jump through universes, and whether you can actually find hints towards the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout,
They'll
or whether
probably
it's
do
gonna be,
it old school Mass Effect style,
yeah,
where
if they did,
like
that would
there's
be interesting.
planets all over the place. You know what I mean? I guess
Yeah.
Starfield could be the new Mass Effect. It could be the replacement for Mass Effect.
It could. I mean, Andromeda, from what I hear, didn't exactly do great, so I hear that's up for the market.
Yeah, Andromeda got a really bad review from chat on Hard Mode Gamers last year. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just Mass Effect has left a sour taste in people's mouths for a little while now. So Starfield could come in and fill that gap. That'd be a nice little surprise for them to be able to pull off too.
Yeah, no, definitely, because like I've seen some of the Mass Effect Andromeda, and just even the animation alone just did not, it didn't hold up to what the old Mass Effect used to be. I mean, because from what I read previously, they got rid of the old animation team and got some new people in for it, which I'm not sure why they do that. Um, and then they put some inexperienced people in lead positions, and from there the whole Mass Effect just kind of fell apart. So they didn't have, the whole storytelling wasn't exactly great. The animation definitely definitely had something left to be desired with the whole facial and the walking and everything. It just wasn't as polished as what old Mass Effect fans used to know from it. So whether it was one or two even, it just fell short compared to that. So whether Bethesda are using that for a chance to step up and be like, right, we're gonna introduce our own space RPG as I'll say replacement for Mass Effect, then I definitely think people would jump on board that, because the Mass Effect franchise definitely took a hit with Andromeda. So I mean, for Bethesda to capitalize on that and make their own version of it, that in itself is branching to both Elder Scrolls as well as Fallout. That would definitely, I reckon, people would jump on the hype train in a second for that. Just the promising fact of a whole new space exploration kind of thing, Mass Effect, that combines both Elder Scrolls and Fallout into one universe. I reckon that would be enough to have people's attention.
So, in your opinion, does Mass Effect see a resurgence before the end of this console generation, next generation, or not at all?
Mm, to be honest, because I can't remember, but I think I read previously that the company that owns the whole Mass Effect, actually put the studio on ice until they try and figure out something, whether that's going to be to release a new Mass Effect game, or that's not going to be for a while. So I'm a bit questioning about it, whether they leave it until the next console or whether they leave it for a little bit so that people, hopefully try and forget about Andromeda, and then they bring something back that hopefully reignites the fire in their series. Or whether they just leave it and think, right, well, last one didn't do so great, maybe we should try and find something new to move on, which would honestly be a shame, because the Mass Effect franchise before Andromeda was great. People loved it, it was good action, it had a good storyline, and it just kind of fell apart from there. So whether they try and improve it and build a brand new polished game on top of it to, I'll say, try and repent for Andromeda.
But I'll say if they were to put it on ice, I mean, like the way that I look at the Mass Effect series, I feel like from Mass Effect 1 to 3, it started having a steady decline, right? Like a lot of people were very upset with the way Mass Effect 3 ended. Most people say Mass Effect 2 is their favorite one, and so on and so on. So like, do they just let this die in a happy place where we remember the Mass Effect trilogy and pretend Andromeda didn't exist? Or do they try to undo Andromeda by creating something new? And I'm not sure
Well,
what the best option is.
yeah, because it would be a bit of a gamble, really, whether they, try and make something that was better in Andromeda. And then if that fails, well, then they've just kind of gone out in a leg only to be shot in the foot. But if they do that and actually, succeeds, then they might be able to pick up the franchise from there, and whether they make one or two more games after that and that are actually successful and people actually get back into the franchise, or whether they just leave it to die peacefully. So at this point, it'll be a bit of a gamble to do either, really, because some people might not be happy at the fact that they left the Mass Effect franchise on Andromeda, and might be sort of a bit of a disregard to the whole franchise from before that, or people might not be happy that if they do make a new Mass Effect game and it turns out to be as much of a flop as Andromeda. And yeah, either this way, it'll be a bit of a gamble, if anything, whether they choose to do it or not. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think of it. It'll be more of a, if they do it and they do it right, then it'll be good. If they actually manage to do everything right, animation's all good, storyline's great. If they manage to do that, I reckon the fans will be happy and they might be able to pick up the franchise again and make a few more games off of it. But I reckon if they do it poorly, then they'll only dig the grave deeper for Mass Effect.
You know what companies doing? Companies like actually taking that risk right now. At least in my opinion, Capcom. They're taking that risk with Devil May Cry 5 because they're bringing back the Devil May Cry that created so much controversy and tension with the way he looked and the way it played and all this other stuff. And it looks like they're bringing that back despite everyone asking for original Dante. So I can see. I guess we're about to see the result of that action. Like if this game ends up being better and good enough, like do we excuse that it's still in that same universe as the bad one, or like what happens from here?
Yeah, because I've seen a few people complaining about how the changed Dante to look different from the original. So again, it's a bit of a gamble because if they do it and they do it well and it's got a good combat, some good storyline, that kind of thing to go with it, and it resembles the old Devil May Cry, then I reckon it'll pay off, and the whole fans will definitely take a liking to it. But if it has the same effect as Mass Andromeda, and it's not as good as the originals, people just kind of write it off and think, oh, I think they should have just left the franchise alone. So it's a bit of a risky take, because as much as people are like, oh, I'd like a new Devil May Cry game, sometimes it's better to just leave things alone, and whether they make a remaster of the old games or whether they do some sort of anniversary where they, I'll say, update it a bit, but other than that, sometimes it's best to leave it alone. But if there's enough of a demand for a new game, I suppose, then if that's what the fans of it want, sometimes it's okay to listen and give them a new game. Other times it's best to be like, I feel like we shouldn't touch just for the whole fear of it backlashing.
Yeah, that's how I feel about certain games. But there are certain games that I want them to bring them back so bad that I'm willing to risk it if the game is bad. Games like Onimusha, Soul Reaver, Jet Set Radio. I've been talking about these games a lot. That's why they come to mind so quick. But we're gonna take a quick break and dive back with some video game trivia. So, a word from our sponsors.
Oh boy, this should be fun.
Trivia time.
All right, and we're back for some video game trivia. Daniel, you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
That's what we like to hear. So I'm going to explain the game real quick for our listeners and for you to know the rules. It's very simple. I have a list of 62 games in front of me, 62 video game trivia questions in front of me, and you are going to pick 10 of these questions by picking whatever number 1 through 62. And if you answer more, we had to make some adjustments because we felt like it was too hard last time around. Kyle almost dropped the ball. But if you can get 6 out of 10 correct, one lucky commenter or viewer will receive free $20 in-game currency for the console of their choosing. So people are going to either love you or hate you.
Either way, I'm not sure everyone will like me, because there can only be one, right?
There can only be one. All right, so go ahead and select your first question.
I'll say number 6.
Number 6. In which game series is every assassinated person a real person with the accurate death, date, and place?
Oh, God. Assassin's Creed.
Wow, Zers, you got it. Nice job. So that's one down. Next.
I'll say 13.
Which year was BioShock Infinite released?
Ooh, 2015, I want to say.
Oh, no. 2013.
Ah, bugger.
Yeah, I know
I
it's
was
been a
thinking
while,
of
right? It doesn't
15
feel
or
like that because
15,
people keep
off
talking
anyway.
about it.
Alright, 23.
Ooh, this is one of those that I feel like is tough in my opinion.
Oh boy.
Where was the first PS3, PlayStation 3 released?
I feel like it's either going to be Japan or America, but since PlayStation's, I'm going to say Japan since it's a PlayStation.
That's it. It was released in Japan. Okay, next
Oh god,
question.
yeah, I was hoping it was gonna be that. I'll say 31.
Huh. This is an odd one. It's very indie relevant in my opinion.
Oh boy.
It is which virus was decoded after playing Fold It?
Oh, after playing Folded,
Correct.
I have absolutely no clue.
Final answer?
Uh, when you say virus, do you mean computer virus or like actual
Actual
virus?
virus.
Uh, Swine flu?
No. The funny thing is when I read this question, I immediately think this could like somebody could nail this with just a random shout. So, question 31, which virus was decoded after playing Fold It? The answer is the AIDS virus.
Oh god. It's funny because I was thinking, I'm like, no, that seems that seems a bit too out there and inappropriate to say.
It does seem like it's out there, but then if you think about the name of the game, Fold It, and you unlock the AIDS virus, like assistance.
Oh yeah. You wouldn't think it.
Right? Like what a well played. That's a nice play on words. I like that one. All right, next
Yeah.
question.
I'll say number 11.
Oh, I hated this, but it's a good
Oh.
trivia question. But I hated this fact. How many maximum controllers are supported by the PlayStation 3 system?
Oh god. I feel like there'd be so many adaptations of it, like spin-off controllers that would be somewhere up there. Um,
Well, not. I'm gonna
I'm
correct you real
gonna.
quick. Not types of
Okay.
controllers, but on your PS3 system, how many controllers can you connect to it at the same time and like all be playing one game?
Oh. Oh, wait, that makes sense. I'm gonna say 7.
How did that make sense to you?
Well, I mean, if you're playing an 8-player party game, you've got one with a controller, and I'll say, if they're playing with phones, for example, 7 others to connect with.
Oh man, I'm gonna give you the answer because you did get it right, but that's not the reason. You can only
Oh.
connect 7 controllers, so it'd be you and 6 other players.
Ah.
And that's why I always hate it
Damn.
because it doesn't make any sense. Why 7?
No,
That doesn't add up
make
at
it
all.
7?
Like there's never a way to split that evenly.
There's never a 7-player game. It's not.
There is though. You can
That
play.
makes
There's a
sense.
one of the football games lets you play with 7 players at a time. You can put 4 on one team and 3 on the other, I believe.
Cool.
But it's like, why is that uneven?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Well, they'd make it an uneven number.
But you got it right, and that's what matters.
All right.
All right. Next number.
All right. I'll say 42.
42. Ooh, easy. Black Ops is a subtitle of which PS4 game?
Oh, Call of Duty.
Excellent. That was really easy. Let's get an update and see how far along these questions we are. All right, so far you've gotten 4 out of 6 questions right. That means you just got to get 2 more questions right, and somebody's going home with a lucky new currency card for their console of choosing. So fire away.
Oof. All right. I'll say 21.
Which planet size is approximately the same as Minecraft?
Oh boy. If it's set, I want to say Earth, because like the whole Minecraft thing is set as Earth, so I figured that'd probably be the best answer.
You would think, because it would make the most sense, right? But it's not.
Yeah.
It's Neptune.
Ah.
Neptune. Imagine that.
Bloody hell.
I've never even been to Neptune. I wouldn't know if they were right or wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Next
Let's go
I'll
for it.
say, 35.
Ooh. How many games were first released at the launch of the PS4?
Um, like PS4 is it's a big console, so I imagine there'd be quite a few. Um, I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. I'm gonna say 12.
Oh, man. Wrong multiple of 6. It was 18. Close, though. Very close.
Oh, bugger.
All right. You know what that means?
Okay.
You've got to get the next 2 questions right or no lucky
Oh
winner,
boy.
winner, chicken dinner. Sorry, I was watching 21 last night. It's such a good movie, but like I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
the phrase.
No, that's alright. I play enough PUBG to know.
All right, so
Uh,
what's the number?
I'll say number 50.
Number 50. In which year was Sherlock Holmes Crime and Punishments released?
Wait a minute, I played that one. Oh god, that was 4. I'm going to say 2014.
Wow, you nailed it. I did not expect
Oh
that.
god.
I am like legitimately in shock right now. I did not expect.
Yeah, no,
I
I
had my
played
whole
that
speech
one.
prepared.
I played it back in end of high school. That was yeah, I played a little bit of it because I like the whole Sherlock Holmes movies and they were being released back then. So I'm like, yeah, I'll give the game a try.
How was it? I kept telling myself I was going to give it a shot, but I never actually got around to doing that.
It's pretty good, honestly. It definitely has a Sherlock Holmesy feel as you'd expect, but it feels like the I forget what game it is. The one where you play as the dead detective that's sort of like a ghost
L.A.
detective
Noire?
kind of thing.
No.
Yes,
Murdered Sole Suspect?
that one.
That's the one with the ghost.
That's the one.
All right, so you just got to get this last question right.
All right. I'm gonna say 64. Go for the last one.
Here we go. Oh, no, I only have up to 62.
62 then.
All right.
I'll take the last one you have.
Who is the main character of Grand Theft Auto 4?
Oh god. GTA 4. I know GTA 5 was Trevor Michael and Franklin. No, I can't remember. Was that Vice City?
Grand Theft Auto 4 was the Return to Liberty City.
Return to Liberty City. Oh, that was Tony, wasn't it?
No, it was Nico.
No?
Nico Bellic.
Nico. Ah,
Russian.
damn it. I was thinking of the Russian Tony.
So close, so close. Oh,
Oh,
man.
one
Unfortunately, you only got 5 out of 10. Needed that 6.
Damn. So close, dude.
So close, so close. Well, Daniel, I want to thank you for coming on the Hard Mode Gamers podcast. It's been a blast. We had a
Not a
ton of
problem.
fun. And I hope you had a good time. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you if they want to jump on any of your games online and hang out.
Okay, I'm on YouTube. It's my name is Danyool, Danyool. Or what's my Twitch? God, I haven't been on there in a while. Been a little bit busy because I've been renovating my house and being a father at 20. It's a bit hard trying to juggle everything. Okay, and I'm on twitch.tv/imBanYOOL.
Dope. That's perfect. So guys can jump on, talk to Daniel, get to know him a little bit more yourselves, play around, get to jump in some Fallout 76 when that releases. And I am Vega, Super Vega on all social media. And this was another HMG podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Thank you, Daniel, for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Adios.
Yeah.